All right. Now let's continue with the temporary table space. So far we saw system table space, sys table space, and undo table space. So what is a temporary table space? So temporary table space is like a logical structure which has temp files. It does not have data files. The files in it we don't call data files. We called it as temp files. It can go in the same location where you have the other data files. It comes with the same format .dbf. Here, just to make sure that there's a temp data file, we can name it as temp01.dbf. So these are the temporary. So what this the temporary table space, like the name says, it has temporary information. Temporary information means, say you want to capture the data from one table, change it, and load the data into a second table. There's a query which is written which does all this. Now, to capture that information from one table and to change that information, where do we put that data? So, a temporary table space can be used in that kind of situations. So, that data is captured, a new table is created in temporary table space, then the data is changed over there, and then we get that information from there, and we create a new table space, new table in the uh, new table space. So basically what we mean to say is, let me create this one. Okay, this is, say, uh, table space 1, and my requirement is to put it into, okay, table space 1, and this has a table which is called table 1. So I have some information in table 1. I want to requirement is to create a table, another table, which has same data, but it has after clearing up few entries. So what we can do is, you can take this entries of the table and put it into a temporary table space. Let's name this temporary table space. You change the data here, whatever you want to change, and then take this and copy these entries and put it into create another table and put it over here. So that is the use of the temporary table space for the temporary calculations. Now after this copy of data is done, then this temporary table space, we don't need this table entry in this temporary table space. So that will be replaced by new calculations which will be requiring some space in the temporary table space. So like the name says, it's for temporary usage. Okay, so like we said, can a database run without a temporary table space? Yes, but when you don't have a temporary table space, what will the database do is, it will use a system table space to do the temporary calculations. Now your system table space is the most important table space in your database. If you end up using you end up using this important table space for temporary calculation, then you are at risk of causing trouble or slowness to your database. So you can use it, you can use the database without temporary table space. It will run fine, no issues. Just that in the back end you are kind of messing up the system table space of your database. So answer to the question, can the database run without temporary table space? Yes, it can run. Then why should not we, why do we need to create temporary table space for no reason? Because if you don't create temporary table space, it will start using the system table space. That is your answer for the question. It's always a best practice, allocate temporary table space to user else system table space. Okay, so every user which we create in the database, right, you will get an option to dedicate a temporary table space. You can create one temporary table space and all the users in the database can use the same temporary table space. That is fine. Okay, but you need to have a temporary table space. And the files in the temporary table space are called as temp files. These are not like the normal data files, because the entries in the temp files keeps on changing. When you stop the database and start the database, the entries in the temp files are cleaned off. You will not have the information in the temporary table space, temporary files. How do we create a temporary table space? Create temporary table space. Okay, this is the name of the table space, and this is the important keyword for us. I'll put in italics. Okay, create temporary table space, create big file table space, create table space if it's a normal database, create undo table space. All the same syntax, just this word. If it's coming, then it's serves a specific purpose. Temporary, big, big file, undo, those types of table spaces. Again, you can give the location of temp files, size, okay, and you can add extra temp files to the table space. See, table space is just a container. You can put how many ever files in it. Okay, if you depending on the block size, there's a limit how much a data file or a temp file can grow. Generally, with 8 kilobytes, it will go to 32 GB. So after 32 GB, you need to add a new data file or a temp file. Or if you want to drop the temp file, say, when will you do this kind of calculation? Say, for example, the application user is doing some huge calculations, and for that they want a huge temporary table space, but you say I cannot create such a huge temporary table space, 100 GB I cannot create it. So the application team will say, okay, create temporarily for now, once my work is done I'll let you know. So you will add a temp file 100 GB. After their work is done, you'll go and drop the temp file. So purpose solved. You have provided the solution to that guy, and he's happy, you are happy, everything done. So a default temporary table space, which you will mention for the user when you are creating a user, we will see that how users are created a database probably in the next class. But when you specify the default temporary table space, the type of the temporary table space should be temporary. We'll see that. Uh, Best practices, again, that's what we said. Always have a temporary table space and always use temp files instead of data files. So you cannot, what they mean is, while creating, don't mention here data file. Okay, don't worry of the syntax and everything. Again, you can, there are a lot of documents, a lot of forums which can help you with steps to create a temporary table space. Once you figure out the steps which works fine for you, make a note of it so you have your own document and you can refer that anytime. As and when you keep on doing that one, you will make your own documents for your purpose. Okay, how do we monitor the temporary table spaces? V dollar temp file, db underscore temp file, how much of space is available, temp space header, all this views can be helpful to you. Okay, so that was the temporary table space. Temporary table space. Any questions on this? All right. So like temporary table space, system, and undo, we can there's an option to change to make the table space uh, alive or make it offline, right? If you don't want to use a table space for some time, for some reason, you can make it offline and the database will still be running, just that one table space, and the application part or the application which is using that one table space will be offline, that not be accessible, right? So in that case you can make a table space online and offline. Okay, so you cannot make system table space, undo table space, and temporary table space offline. That is, those are the table spaces which are required for database to run. So if they would have allowed to make this offline, then the database would go down, right? So these three table spaces you cannot make it offline. Again, interview question: what are the three table spaces you cannot make offline? System, undo, temporary. The main table spaces which are created when database is created. Okay. So what are the scenario where you will make a table space offline? So consider an example where by mistake application team or a developer um, dropped a table, right? And this table is an important table and a part of the application is not working. Now, a part of the application in the sense, in say for example, if we consider the Bank of America website or any other bank website. If a part of the application is not working, means probably your check-in account balance is not showing up because the table which has that information is dropped by mistake, right? In that case, what would you do? Would you bring down the whole database, causing the whole Bank of America website to go down? Or you would say, okay, let's make this table space offline so that only the check-in account balance part is not working on the website, and we'll fix that behind the scenes. And once all the fix is done, we can bring it online, and that particular property or that particular option in the website will start showing up fine. So that would be the better option instead of bringing down the whole database and fixing that one. So less tension on your side because the whole database is not down and just that one particular option is not seen on the business side. Less tension for the application team, less tension from the management, less tension everywhere. All right. Less people calling into the customer service center, less pressure from that side also. Right. So this whole business kind of is tied up everywhere. Each and every company, we have customers. Customers are not saying anything. They're gonna call you. They're gonna call the customer service center for that company, and tickets are going to be raised. Things are going to be escalated. Problem everywhere. So in those kind of things, you have to be calm and just make sure how to deal with the situation effectively. So this is one of the option which can be used in those cases. You can bring down the table space, make the table space offline, try to get the table from backups or some other time, some other place, or flashback the table space, do something. Once that is done, bring the table space online and the business will work fine. Okay. How can you make, what are the options to make a table space offline? This is a syntax: alter table space name, offline. Okay. You have three options: normal, immediate, and temporary. Okay. Normal means, so you can do normal when no data file currently is offline. So all the data files are online, just that there is some issue at the table level, like the example I give. So in that type, when you say alter table space user offline normal, it takes a checkpoint of all the data files. Checkpoint means it will record the SCN number in the data file header and the control file, and then it will make the table space offline. So everything is kind of recorded in the headers, and when you try to make it online, there is less chances. There is no chances of uh, something wrong happening. Temporary. So temporary in the sense, one or more data files can be offline. So something happened at the data file level only. For example, say some junior DBA by mistake he deleted a data file, right? He wanted to say clear up some space. By mistake he went to this data file location and he saw something like temporary is at rm temp01.dpf. Somebody deleted something, or the data file was named with some other extension instead of dbf, and he thought this is not a data file and he deleted the file. So such kind of scenarios might happen. In that case, that data file is offline because data file has been deleted. So in that case, you can make offline using temporary, and a checkpoint occurs in that condition also. And third option is immediate, and immediate is where a recovery is required. For example, somebody dropped the table space by mistake, or for example, if the file system where the data files existed, that file system at the storage level has some issues. In those conditions, you can do a immediate to immediately freeze the table space so that application does not update anything in the table space. And at that point there is no checkpoint. While bringing it back online, the database might ask for recovery, and it might ask for some more files to recover the database, which is kind of a little bit tricky situation. But again, there is a way to get out of every kind of situation in the Oracle database. Okay. And once your issue is resolved, you can bring back the table space online, alter table space name, online. So offline, online, not day to day you'll do that one. This is one of kind of scenario which might occur. in your DBA life. So just you need to be ready for that. Another type of tablespace is called as a read-only tablespace. Now, for example, um, let's consider a company like Amazon. There are so many orders placed in this company, right? Now so many orders, so many people submitting orders. Like, say for example, in a month we have 100,000 orders placed. In that case, the table which is holding this information about these orders, how big the table might be and how big the table space might be. Obviously it might be a table space. Right. Now, if now, will you need that order information every time? Say, if you placed an order in probably in 2010, 2010, what are the chances that you might go and change that order? Or once the order has been delivered and your cancer return period has been completed, what are the chances that the order might change? Very less. So those kind of information can go and sit in a read only table space. So no write operations will happen on that those tables. Only you will have to read sometime. Probably you want to see, oh, 2010 I had ordered that one particular product which was very good. I want to reorder it. So you might go in your order history and you might want to check that one. Then that information will have to be read from the read only table space. But will you change that information? No. So in those cases, you might use the read only table space. So that is one of the example of using the read only table spaces. How do we create a read only table space? Alter table space, give the table space name, read only. That will create your read only table space. So in once you created read only table space, all you can do is read from it. The data will be written one time basis, but you cannot update the data in it. If you want to update the data in it or at the table level, then you can make the table space a read write, update it, put it back to read only. Okay. One of chance where for some reason some order was cancelled but refund did not happen and you had to update something in the table, then probably this might have to be done. Now, temporary table space, you create a temporary table space and I wanted to shrink that one. I give you an example, right? You want to application team came up with a query which might require 100 GB of temporary table space, and you cannot assign so much of space for a temporary table space. You object, but then you compromise and come to conclusion like, okay, for temporary time, I can give you that one. So you increase the size, and if you want to reduce the size, you can use this option of shrinking the space of the table space, temporary table space. You can either shrink the size of the table space or you can shrink the size of the temp file. Both are possible. If you want to rename the table spaces, I told you in the starting of the class, right? How do we rename a table space? Alter table space name, and rename to the new name, whatever name you want to rename. So you cannot rename system and sysocs. Those are important table spaces. You rename this table space, then database will forget the table space name and it's a mess. You want to drop a table space, you can drop a table space. Say for example, you created a table space, application team said, okay, we are not going ahead with the project, you can clean up all the entries, then you go ahead and drop the table space, right? So while dropping a table space, there are two options. Table space is just a container, virtual container, right, in which you have data files. So if, yeah, okay, let me create another box. So this is a table space, and for example, these are our data files. Data file 1, data file 2. Okay, so these are our data files. So this is a container. So while dropping a table space or deleting a table space, you have two options. One is you just delete this table space and leave the data files wherever they are. They'll be orphaned. Orphan means there is no ownership of the data files. okay, which is very dangerous because you will use the space. You are using the space. What space? At the storage level. At the storage level, everything is using some space, right? Okay, this temp file is using 5 MB and to file is 66 MB. So if I have a data file, for example, this one here, it's only 5 MB. Say assume this was 5 GB. Now if I drop the table space without including the data files, then this data file will exist over here, and